Greetings one and all to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Oh, and I always come here to pray and donate money whenever I visit. It won't be me for sure. Oh, is that so? They say Oyashiro-sama has been especially harsh on outsiders recently, you know. Barbara-kun may have only just moved in, but he's a proper member of Hinamizawa. But you, Jiro-san, are a stranger who only comes once a year. I wonder, will he let you go this year? That's harsh. Tomataki-san was the only one with a pained grin, but we were all smiling, me included. Oyashiro-sama, the one who used a curse to kill people, involved the damn construction project one after the next. I will say this, sometimes we have people that go insane. Sometimes people are just straight up malicious, and sometimes they're replaced by other people. After all, we have circumstances, and sometimes they're just ghosts impersonating them. After all, in the previous timeline, the nurse here had died about 24 hours before she even guided us into breaking into the shrine. Her body was dead 24 hours before that. Technically, when Mion killed Shion in Okinomiya, and she stabbed me outside of my house. Not only did both things take place basically around the same time, but both things had taken place about 24 hours before Mion was already dead. But 24 hours after Mion was already dead. So simply put, you have people that were technically already dead before I wind up meeting them or having issues with them. And even after that's revealed, you see them again. And that's even within the same timelines, let alone across timelines. Here's the question. Oishi-san's very different this timeline. Has he been possessed? Has he gone insane? Is he just a dick this time? Is he dead before I even met him? And we're all interacting with a ghost of Oyashiro-sama pretending to be a fat pudgy cop. Which I suppose the most direct problem with that is this is the most antagonistic he's been. It would certainly mean that a literal god doesn't exactly feel very benevolent toward us. Or at the very least is, with the way Uishi is this time around, I'd say he's perhaps a bit more controlling and psychotic and demanding of things being done his way than even Teppei is. After all, if he's behaving that way in public, then how on earth is he in private? Oh yeah, sure. People involved in the damn construction project one after the next. He killed the construction man, or killed Sato's parents to support him. And the next year he even killed her aunt. If the deepening away part was of that curse, then you could say add Satoshi to the list of victims. As I thought about it, I realized that in a serial freak death instance, the overwhelming majority had the last name Hojo. Half of the deaths and disappearances come from the Hojo family. The Hojo family lived here in Hinamizawa. Did that mean Oishiro-sama punished and cursed them particularly harshly because, despite that, they had been in favor of the dam? Have you heard the news that Sato's uncle has returned? Takano-san, who had been enjoying a few words with Tomita-kun, was caught unawares by my sudden inquiry. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? Oh, Sato's parents were killed by the curse, and her aunt too. So I was wondering if maybe if you went in order, her uncle would be next. Her aunt had a miserable death from the curse last year, and her uncle let his fear take over and fled into town, right? Oh, Yashiro-sama doesn't allow people to try and abandon the village, does he? I hadn't intended to be quite this persistent, but those words, they just flowed out of my mouth without me thinking about it. It's almost as if... I mean, we are in close proximity, right? Oh, Yashiro-sama's cursed. I didn't believe in something so unrealistic, so of course. But the fact that was that every year unfortunate incidents that happened to the enemies of the village. Like Takano-san just said now, it happened 4 times. No one could say there wouldn't be a 5th. That's an interesting suggestion. It is true that if you look at those sacrificed in previous years, those named Hojo come up quite frequently. Given how long it's gone on for, her uncle being the one to die or disappear this year isn't out of the question. Hee hee. Not again, Takano-san. Don't laugh about it. It could really happen. I'm sorry, I'm not a real person. Neither is Hoishi. And Kaiichi is probably possessed by, angry Buddha with a Super Nintendo. Oh, Yashiro-sama's curse is my life work. That's, probably more true than you let on. Hee. Takano-san gave off a mysterious and intellectual impression, and her life's work was mysterious in its own right. You're a nurse. You should probably really like the inexplicable supernatural phenomena or something. Takano-san, you seem like you know a lot about Oyashiro-sama. Give me your honest thoughts. Given that he's a Hojo and that he's returned, what are the chances the uncle will fall to the curse? My, what? You seem like you really want this uncle of hers dead. Hee. Are you guys real? That's not... I wonder. It all depends on the whims of God. Maburo-kun, do you know the true identity of Santa Claus? I don't suppose Santa Claus can psychologically fuck with people, supernatural ghosts, give people brain parasites, and also possess and replace people and alter the course of, time loop reality. And then again, he does do everything one night, so everyone's like this. I got a strange question all of a sudden, and I couldn't immediately answer. What you don't know? It's your daddy. The daddy's in everyone's family. What? That's what you meant? Well, of course. Everything ultimately comes down to humans in the end. After all, humans are the ones living in this world. That you can see. All strange things should be explainable in terms of human actions. Or it could be both. I feel like I put somewhat strangely, but Takano-san was not as dissatisfied with the reply as some might have guessed. Oh, it's impressive that you caught on to that at such a young age. You're right. Strange things that happen in the world of man are all caused by man for his own benefit. Maburo-kun, I'll ask you again then. This time not Santa Claus, but Oyashiro-sama. Do you know anything about who Oyashiro-sama is? Takano-san took a step towards me and gazed into my eyes as she asked. Santa Claus is really the parents of every family's children. Are we going with the werewolf question again? Since we are the, demon roulette. If lionizing that legend was a corporate tactic to try and profit during Christmas sales, then what was Oyashiro-sama really? Oh, didn't you already say? There are only humans in this world. Everything can be explained by human actions, right? He? Mamoru-kun? Keep this to yourself, okay? The string of freak death incidents contributed to Oyashiro-sama's curse. Takano-san's view is that they may be premeditated homicides performed by the people of Hinamizawa and based on some kind of ceremony. No, don't misunderstand me. My life's work is to research teachings, thoughts, and cultures from the viewpoints of folklorism. I don't really care at all about who the culprit is or, the psychological implications of the religion. Tsushigumo? Tsushikomiya? Aiba? Mujina? Maiko? Haruaki Fusayashi? Just keep that in mind, please. I could tell, at least, that she was saying some crazy stuff. If I were to liken her to statements to a meal, it would be sort of like she just tried to stuff a whole plate of duck into my mouth, and now I couldn't say anything. To understand the first place, you have to go all the way back to the ancient times, when Hinamizawa was called Onagafushi, or the Demon's Abyss. The transcendents who lived there believed themselves to carry the blood of demons, and so were only half human. Takano-san, having entered their home field, leaned forward and began to speak of ridiculous matters. Tomotaki-san realized she was overawing me and interrupted. Takano-san. You can't chatter on about that stuff to Mamoru-kun. Look, he's really confused. Oh my, are you? If you want to hear more, ask me any time. I have heaps of the grotesque stories that boys your age seem to love hearing. Thank you? If I feel like it, I will. For now. I softly and safely gave my refusal. Takano-san seemed a little unhappy that Tomotaki-san had rained on her parade, but she stopped talking about it then. Even still, it was a very interesting story. That Oyashiro-sama's curse, which we thought of as strange and freak deaths, were really homicides perpetrated by the people of the village. Well, I mean, if you thought about it logically, it would have to be. People wouldn't be dying because of a curse. Somehow obviously killing people and making it look like one. Indeed. As for who that is, it might be safer not to try to find out. You seem like you know, Takano-san. You may not approve, but you seem like you believe it. Oh my. Why do you think that? I just kind of felt it vaguely. It didn't seem like her extreme passion for this research could be explained just by these things, just being taboo, or being safe and easy. This person loved walking through the profound, forbidden abyss of risks and taboos. Let's leave it at that, Malboro-kun. I just helped you escape, and now you're trying to talk about Uyashiro-sama again? I wanted to take a nice walk while it was still cool. Toмотaki-san seemed a little disappointed not to be able to go on a date he'd planned since I had brought up a weird topic. But right now, there was something I wanted to ask just for a little bit, and that was about whether Satoko's uncle will be chosen for the curse this year. If he was, then another miracle would happen just like last year. I guess miracles are just a matter of perspective. Heck, the plagues of Egypt could certainly be called miracles, but depends on who you were back then. A terrible incident would happen again, but it would release Satoko from her unfortunate circumstances once more. Well, I do have a few suspicions as to the kind of people who would probably become involved, of course. It's natural, inevitable conclusion for anyone who's researched the history of Onokafushi Village. Who do you mean? What would I do if I knew? I asked the question to the other me deep inside, but got no reply. How enthusiastic. What would you do if you knew? Nothing, really. If you found out, you might get into danger yourself, you know. Maybe the 5th year's curse would be you. Eh? Takano-san, toying with taboo, gave a devilish, satisfied smile, as though nothing in the world would be more amusing. She was probably trying to tease me, but I didn't feel like going along with her little game one bit. You like to talk pretty big, but you don't really know yourself, do you, Takano-san? I had felt a tinge of irritation at Takano-san's roundabout way of speaking, but those emotions escaped my mouth like water flowing through a strainer. Even I was surprised how directly I had spoken of what I felt. Of course, I wasn't the only one taken aback. Oh my, you're something. You may just be just a boy, but you can still provoke people. How unexpectedly rugged. I don't dislike people like that, you know. Takano-san's tongue. It's like, oh, you're sassy. It's like, you got some fucking balls on you, Keiichi. It's like, you can be a bit rude and crass, but you definitely get things done, and you definitely don't. You keep things interesting. And I was convinced that it was long, thin, and split in the middle like a snake's. Alright, I'll tell you then. But you have to promise me 3 things first. 1, not to regret it, no matter what I tell you. 2, not to tell it to anyone. Oh, that one's hard. 3, not to tell anyone I told you. Okay, the third one, I can choose not to regret it, and I can choose not to tell anyone about your involvement. I can tell you I met you, but I can't. But not tell anyone who the Uyashiro-sama is. I gulped firmly and nodded. Toмотaki-san made an exaggerated expression of distress, gave a dry, vague smile, and lit a cigarette. You also did imply that if I knew, it would literally mean that I would get hurt. Please tell me, who is putting this curse on people? Who is it who's deciding who gets cursed? And after I said that, I finally realized why I wanted to know. I want whoever it is that's doing it to be able to ask them to basically kill Teppei. I mean, heck, in the last video saying that, given the circumstances, I wouldn't be above asking the Yakuza or the Mafia for help in that. Even knowing, I'm asking them to do something nefarious. At this point, I'm basically saying, oh, what god do I need to pray to, or what priest do I need to go see to in order to give them offerings, to ask them to pass their curse on to the, those you, hate, find displeasure with, find to be worthy of such horrific curses, that at the end of the day, while it is such a horrible, horrifying curse, if there was a priest you could ask, heck, let's say hypothetically, any of you listening to this suddenly knew that there was a priest. It could be even of the religion you believe in, or of a religion that you don't even believe to exist at all. You could be atheist, Christian, anything. It could be a priest of your own belief. It could just be a priest of a religion you don't believe in. You could be a Christian, you could be atheist, anything. If you knew that if you went to a priest and simply offered them a sacrifice, one that wasn't too difficult or would cause any lasting problems to your life, like maybe just a little bit of humility and a small monetary offering, and maybe a bit of prayer, maybe like what if you knew of a shrine and you could go to that shrine and offer a prayer and give a small burnt offering of something that wouldn't be too inconvenient for you. It's not like you're being asked to offer up what is most dear to you in the world, but rather, even if it was simple as you simply had to humble yourself a bit, offer prayers, sacrifice, and praise for about 20 minutes, and then take a pizza and light the pizza on fire with gasoline in the middle of the woods. And in exchange for that, that deity, even if it wouldn't even count as a deity as what others would say, even if you don't even think it's real, whether it's a person or even just a ghost or an alien pretending to be such a thing. Simply put is this, okay, all this extra semantics or hyperbole aside, let's say hypothetically you knew that in the closest big city close to you there was a small shrine out in a small little park. You could go there and offer 20 minutes of prayer, a small bit of humility, and let's say you just put a pizza. You buy a pizza, don't eat a slice of it, you just put it out on top of an altar, pour some gasoline on it, and light it on fire and watch it burn for 5 minutes. If in exchange for doing that, you could pick any one person in the world to die a horrible, horrible death, and you don't get to choose the death, but you know that if you ask for their death, that 1, they will die, and 2, the death that they wind up suffering will be extremely morbid and will take days and they will suffer greatly. Again, maybe we're adding just too much supposition to this. What if you knew that there was a shrine that wasn't too far out of the way? What if you knew there was a shrine, and all you had to do was go there and pray and ask for the death of someone you didn't like? You could only ask for one. Again, we're making this too complicated. The question is this. What if you knew there was a shrine? You can go there and pray for the death of someone, and you will have no lasting punishment or drawbacks to you. All you have to do is ask for that person's death, and you know that person will die. Do you do it? There's no penalty to you, there's no punishment to you, there's no negative repercussions to you anyway. Heck, you'll know you'll still die and go to heaven all the same. That there will be absolutely no negatives at all whatsoever, in this life or the next. Given those circumstances, if there was a priest that you could just tell them that you wanted somebody to die, and in exchange for that their god would kill whoever it is you asked to die, would you do it? What would it take for you to feel that way about someone? If you had an actual straight up fucking death note Like out of the anime Death Note Light Yagami. 1, if you had it right now, or just find it, what would you do? Would you use it? And let's say hypothetically you're the mindset not to use it. But you're also unable to get rid of it. Basically, if you tried to burn it or throw it away, it would just reappear next to you. And even if you try to give it to other people, they literally couldn't see it, and it was intangible in every way to them. And also, they would, anytime you told anybody about it, they would just forget that you even mentioned it. A few minutes later, they would just suddenly have Alzheimer's about it. You have the power to just not use it, and nothing will ever happen other than you just keep seeing a mysterious book that no one else can see or interact with in any way just appear next to you from time to time. It doesn't inconvenience you. It's just always there. Usually wherever you sleep. It doesn't inconvenience you anyway. It'd be like suddenly having the power to just occasionally when you look up at the sky, you might see a cloud that looks like a big naked woman. And it's not even just a white fluffy cloud. It's like literally just a giant naked anime woman in the sky. No one else can see that. But, you can't do anything to change the sky either. I mean, you don't always have to go outside. And you don't have to look up. But, if you're outside, that if you look up, it's there. If you look out the window, it's there. It doesn't affect you in any way. But it's an unchangeable facet of reality. So simply put is this. If you had a Death Note, would you use it? And in that situation, if it was one that even if you didn't use, you still couldn't just go away. And in that situation, you had unlimited uses. And the Death Note itself literally even says in the Death Note that you have no negative repercussions for it in any way. And unlimited uses. In fact, we could even add in that using it extends your life. And heals you, makes your body more healthy, and perhaps even returns a couple days of youth to you. By that I mean you would become, like say you write a name in the Death Note, you become 1 day younger. You de-age by 24 hours. And of course it can't go past a certain amount, so you can't de-age yourself to death. It's just, at that point, if you get to 20 or something, then heck, even if you're already younger than 20, it simply becomes a savings account. So that once you get to a certain age, you just sort of are on pause to where you won't age past any point where aging would be considered to have a negative repercussion. And everyone's like, you're making this way too overly complicated. I'm just saying this. If you had a Death Note, then you couldn't get rid of it. What would tempt you to use it? What would cause you to cross that line? If you knew a priest, heck, let's say hypothetically, you were even in a church, and time froze, and an image of any deity, heck, it could literally just be fucking straight up fucking Santa Claus, could appear to you, and simply ask you, who would you want to die? And Santa Claus can also be clear saying that whoever you ask to die, there will be no consequences to you, and that person will die an absolutely horrible death. Very miserable, very painful. Not quick or kind at all. Would you already have someone in mind? And what if you said no to Santa Claus, he then said, okay, I'll see you again once every couple months. You don't have to say yes or no to anything, and even if you do say yes, I'll still see you after that. And if you want to pick another person, you can. I suppose the question is this. If you could just pray to God or to any being in the world, if you could go to any priest or shrine and offer prayer and sacrifice to ask for a certain person's death, or even if you had your own death note, would you use it? And even if you're the mindset that you wouldn't use it, how long? Simply put is this, even if you're the mindset that you wouldn't use a death note, you can't say you wouldn't be tempted, whether your mind wouldn't wander on it from time to time. I'm making a very complicated question. I guess the question here is this. Keiichi-kun wants to know who decides Oishiro-sama's curse, because we're wanting to make sure Teppei suffers that curse. We've decided he deserves it, and we want to use it as a weapon against him. Simply put is this. You, the dear viewer, if you were Keiichi-kun, and you had the power to just directly ask the shrine deity, like if you knew whoever was responsible, whether it was an actual just person doing stuff in their own hands, or if you knew it was actually a supernatural deity, and all you had to do was ask them, maybe even burn a large pepperoni pizza in the middle of the woods with some gasoline. Well, would you do it if you were Keiichi-kun in this situation? What exactly? Like, here's the thing. If you could just go to a shrine or a priest and offer, or even offer a prayer for Teppei to die, and you knew he would, and it would be painful, would you do it? If Keiichi-kun suddenly had a death note, if you were Keiichi-kun, would you use that death note? What would you do? Many of my classmates were playing freely in the schoolyard. A few of them had just run out of the school, building and putting on their shoes and tapping their toes to the ground. Did they not tell anyone about who Oishiro-sama is? Include me, the fucking reader? I want to know. But then I can't tell all of you that are listening to this, right? It looked like they had just finished eating lunch. From a time manipulating standpoint, I guess I succeeded. Oh, Mabro-san, are you okay? A few girls noticed me and came running over. It was only natural they were worried. You'd think someone wasn't there in the morning, they'd be out the rest of the day. Well, I'm just late for school. Don't worry about it. Anyway, what about Satoko? Did she come today? The girls exchanged glances. I saw a thin shadow fall over the faces and knew the answer, without needing to hear them reply. Satoko was absent today, too. When all was said and done, after being out 3 days, she'd only come back for 1. And now she was out again. Who knew she would come tomorrow? Yeah. But the teacher said she got a phone call from Satoko-chan. She said she had a cold. Chie-sensei said everyone should make sure to rinse their mouths out really well. Wait a minute, Chie-sensei? That's a little too thick-headed, don't you think? You're a teacher, aren't you? Why can't you be more sensitive and catch on to the fact that your pupil is sending out an SOS? Oh, I'm sure Chie knows. But let's be clear. 1, it would do no good to tell the rest of the students that stuff. 2, it would be a breach of confidence and unprofessional. And 3, it would likely make things worse for Satoko. More than likely, she's in the same situation as a lot of us. She's aware, but she's doing everything that's in her power. And in this situation, you really should try to keep the other students in the dark. And just try to put them at ease. But even if she did, there was nothing we could hope for. The most she could do was a home visitation. She didn't have any right to take Satoko from her uncle into safety. No matter the result, it would end up just like the public agencies, with a wait-and-see attitude. It would just piss Satoko's uncle off, and her suffering would only grow deeper. Ha! I remember that situation at one point. I remember there were some people that were talking about that stuff. Granted, I was much younger myself, and I was talking about people that were unrelated to me. But basically, the government was of the mindset that, well, as long as, the person didn't get like a straight up broken bone or something, then there was really nothing to be done. But that situation in itself just worked itself out. But that was like decades ago, and really didn't involve me that much. Then that was saying, she had a cold, the best option. She's right. Be careful not to catch a cold, got it? You go now. There's still plenty of time left in lunch break. The girls excitedly scattered in the cold. And that's saying the best thing I can do is just say that to them, because I should just let them. There's nothing they can do, so no sense like, oh no, the teacher's lying to you. She's actually not able to come because she's being abused and controlled and neglected and basically not the best situation. The girls excitedly scattered in the schoolyard. Oh, Keiichi-kun. Rena was yelling out the classroom window, waving her hand. A moment later, Mion and Rika-chan poked their heads out too. We were very worried that even you would be absent today. Thank goodness. You don't seem sick. You look pretty okay. I felt a little uncomfortable with her saying that I didn't look sick, but I didn't care that much. What happened? Overslept? Well, late is late. Think if I said I was late because of a train accident, she'd let it slide? You overslept? Mion was being a bit persistent. Was she going to put on her club president cap and scold me for being late? Or maybe she didn't have it in for me, so I briefly stated that she was right. There's still more bento. Again, we need to talk to them about the very stupid idea we had. Just because we went into the closet and perhaps had a psychotic break and passed out in the closet, or maybe there was somebody else in the closet and they fucking chloroformed us, and then we just woke up later because our lack of knowing what's going on, we should still share what we know. Hey, first and more importantly, we should mention our very stupid idea about hiding Satoko in the house. And be like, no, and everyone would be like, no, that's incredibly stupid, Keiichi-kun. You're being retarded. You're being incredibly a dumbass. Just tell your fucking parents they can adopt them. Okay? Just talk to your fucking parents, provided they're still alive. 2. Tell them that you were so worried about Satoko, and in thinking about, how are you going to hide her there, you went inside your closet to think about how it would be for her, and then you passed out in your closet before it was even bedtime. And then came out of your closet like 3:30 in the morning and immediately passed out and overslept in the middle of the day. Let's be clear. Even at that age, sleeping like that in such manner, even if there is nothing supernatural or dangerous being involved, this straight up implies either a start of an illness or severe psychological stress, and that we are unwell in multiple ways. This in of itself would mean 1, we should take better care of ourselves, and 2, our friends should be very concerned. And that's even if there weren't, outside circumstances there. Both in, worrying about Satoko, or supernatural stuff, or maybe I have like brain worms, or any of those things. Maybe like, but yeah, most of all, we need to tell them the stupid plan. They can tell us it's retarded, and then we can go home and talk to our parents about adopting Satoko. Either they'll say yes and problem solved, what we could have solved yesterday, or they'll say no, and they'll offer me some help in ways that I couldn't possibly do on my own. They have some influence, they can talk to other people influence. The best thing to do is to talk to your parents in this situation. There's still better. Everyone eat up. Without Keiichi-kun, we couldn't have any fun. Satoko is still absent, huh? Even Rena feigning cheerfulness. Couldn't stand to hear that, and her face darkened. She called this morning. Apparently she said her cold came back, and she's staying home again. She said it might go on for a while, too. She must be sad, so we are all here talking about going to visit. What are you saying, Rika-chan? Not pleased with Rika-chan wearing a wide smile as though it was a happy occasion. I threw cold water on her. You mean semantically? We threw cold water on her? Or, like, are we, like, figuratively or literally doing it? We know best of all she doesn't have a cold, don't we? Don't ever tell a fib like that again, even as a joke. I'll get mad next time. Rika-chan furrowed her brow, looked down, and mumbled an apology. It's not just you, Keiichi-kun. It's hard for everyone. I know I'm not the only one worrying, but none of us can do anything either, can we? That's true, but okay, I understand we're pissed and we're perhaps a little bit cranky from not sleeping and possibly being insane, but heck, we might even be possessed by fucking God, and also we're kind of upset that, you know, I don't know, the people at the shrine, you know, the nurse who's really into fucking, you know, Mayan Aztec, you know, death shit, who like binges fucking Hellraiser, Nightmare on Elm Street, told me some deep psychological truth of the universe. But we don't have to mention that. We're actually, in fact, not supposed to. And we don't have to mention the whole, you know, me sleeping in the closet sort of thing. What we could do, though, is tell them my fucking retarded idea. Instead, we're yelling and arguing, we're going to forget, and then they're not going to be able to tell me how stupid it is. Then again, we're not going to get to that point, because, you know, Hanabisawa is not exactly cooperative with what I want, but we're cooperative with what it wants. In the end, Oyashiro-sama's will be done. All I can do is hope that that will is at least ambivalent. Not even benevolent, but just ambivalent and somewhat in tune with my own wishes. But I got the feeling I would cause another fight if this exchange went on, so I apologized first. Okay, that's actually the best thing we can do in this situation. Sorry, I'm sorry, so forget about what I just said. It's hard for everyone, right? It must be. I was at least clear, however, I was only the only one who had worried so much about rescuing her. At the very least, everyone else probably got the normal amount of sleep last night. Probably had good dreams, too. They definitely hadn't stayed up all night thinking so desperately. I know it might not be what you want to hear right after you go to school, but you were late today, Kei-chan. Did it have anything to do with Satoko being absent? Huh? Mien, what are you talking about? Sometimes you act kind of foolhardy, Kei-chan. When both you and her were absent this morning, we seriously thought you might have kidnapped her and hidden her somewhere. No, I passed out in my closet while thinking about how to kidnap and hide her. So, you're right. You're just on the wrong spot of the timeline. It'd be like saying, did you know people invented electricity? And then you pointed to like 2000 BC. And it's like, well, I mean, people did invent electricity, but I feel like you need to move your finger a little bit to the right on this little line chart. Easy for you to say. If I could have, I'd have done that last night. None of them really thought about how difficult the clear as day solution was. She literally just said it! Oh, no one had thought of. What do you mean they hadn't thought of? She was literally agonizing over thinking about it. That's literally the opposite of the statement we just made. Do we not have a concept of reality? We are being, for someone who's overly worried about Satoko, albeit with very big reasons, we're not, being very, we're very worried and considerate of Satoko, but we're not being very worried or considerate of our other friends, just because they're not the ones currently being fucking abused and mistreated and, well, worse things doesn't mean, I shouldn't be worried about them in their day-to-day life. It doesn't mean they mean anything less. It doesn't mean they don't matter. It doesn't mean they're any less my fucking friends. Heck, it's not like I cared any less about Satoko a few days ago when all of this was not a thing that existed, and I thought happy days would go on forever. If any of them was in this situation, we'd be worried about them too. All of our friends matter a lot. We're being so concerned and upset about the very bad thing occurring with Satoko that we are being very inconsiderate and uncaring to our other, also super important friends that we love very much. I was up thinking all night, thinking until the night it was brightening. And then I concluded that I couldn't do anything of the sort. Don't be dumb. I couldn't hide someone. You're right. I'm sorry. Okay, that's fine. It is fine if we come to the conclusion on our own. But at this point, we probably should tell them anyway, because I feel like it's a issue of that our friends should at least know our thought process. Because, one, they're our friends, and the fact that they at least know our thought process going that way, they could be helpful to us. Otherwise, even if we've decided on our own not to pursue this thought process, we need to discuss it with our friends. Otherwise, our mental state will continue to deteriorate, and we'll be back to square one. So, simply put, it's a situation where we need to talk to our friends, or else bad things will happen. Because at the end of the day, yes, I'm not being very considerate or caring to these friends of mine out of my concern about Satoko. But above all is this, I'm not being very considerate or caring about my own well-being. I am perhaps being the most inconsiderate to myself in terms of even caring about, my own value in existence out of concern about this other thing. That you're worrying so much about someone else that, one, you're being callous and cruel to other people that we equally love, but also, we're being very callous and cruel to ourselves. And it is a very self-destructive way of thinking. And heck, another thing is this. In any circumstance, if you want to help someone else, you can't help them. One, it's not good to be helpful to other people if you're being cruel to others. But, especially if those others are people that are innocent and that you also care about. But also, more to the point is this. You can't save someone if you yourself get hurt. If you're a lifeguard, you can't save someone from drowning if you drown yourself. If you are on the road and you see a car accident, you can't save someone out of the middle of the road if you yourself get hit by a truck. If you see someone burning in a building, you can't save them from the burning fire if you yourself pass out from the smoke. And most of all, whenever the emergency people come to rescue someone out of that burning building, if they have to take the extra time to save you, well, that's time they could have been using to save the other person. So because you tried to save them, now the people that would have saved them are unable to save them anymore because they had to take that time to save you. And after they've taken the time to save you, that other person's already dead. But had you just not even been there, and not even, or even if you just stood there and did nothing and just recorded it for TikTok, that person would be alive. But because you actually tried to do something, now of course it doesn't mean you shouldn't be not involved or try to do anything. I guess the main thing is this. You should be aware that of risks to yourselves and risk how you could make things worse. But also, you should have some drive and initiative and courage and strength and determination to do stuff and to try to take action. It's just, you should simply keep in mind that it's a very complicated question. Heck, I would strongly recommend people watch the movie The Odyssey with Armand Asante. I would strongly suggest reading stories like The Odyssey or Shakespeare or Edgar Allan Poe or the Canterbury Tales. In fact, you should read as much as you can, whether it be history, fan fiction. I mean, literally, not only straight up light novels of anime, but even fan fiction written by fans of anime or video games. You should play, like, video games have great stories in themselves. And of course, even things that aren't, just fictional stories, whether it be history, like watching the History Channel, like World War One, World War Two documentaries, or stuff about even further back history of different cultures. Or even things like National Geographic about, like, oh, here's a special on animals in the Serengeti. Or various, types of nature, or environments, or rainforests, or Antarctica. But more than that is this. You should definitely read books on and study and even watch videos on things like the solar system, on the universe, on galactic filaments, on how electricity works, on how nuclear bombs work, on how car engines work, on how electricity works, on the difference between DC and AC electricity, on how aqueducts work, on how people would smelt different types of metal in the past, on the ancient history of dinosaurs, or the different eras and periods, or even just how game consoles have changed over the years. All of those things, I think, are very important to look into. You're right, I'm sorry, I apologize if I upset you. Don't worry about it. Anyway, let's eat some food. I'm starving. I took my bento box out of my bag. Everyone was moved to make a spot for me to sit. Mabara-kun, did you just get here? And just as I was about to stick my chopsticks in, Chie-sensei came along. Yeah, sorry for being late. I overslept. What the heck? Even the teacher was giving me that strange look. When you're finished eating, could you and the president come to the teacher's lounge? There's something I want to talk about. Probably about Satoko, I thought. Sensei left it at that and went back into the hallway. Eating lunch can wait. Let's go, Mion. You're right. Mia and I exchanged looks, nodded to each other, and got up. We haven't ate anything. I don't even know if we finished dinner last night. It's probably about Satoko-chan. No doubt about it. They were saying she had a cold, but everyone in the class knew the truth. I didn't think that would have reached the teacher's ears by now. I kept playing dumb, so I think she gave up asking me. Revealing the truth to the teacher would only worsen the situation. Why do you think she doesn't know? Was that why she hadn't said anything? Or was it because she was Satoko's friend and she knew she was trying to endure the trial of her uncle's abuse in order to get her brother to come home? What should we do? Maybe we should use this chance to get a collective opinion. What do you want to do, Rika-chan? Meep. Satoko's closest best friend was Rika-chan. However much I pretended to be her Nini, it didn't come close to the amount of time they'd spent together, so I felt like her opinion should be held in the highest regard. I know why Satoko is enduring her uncle's torture. Everyone looked startled and turned to me. Back then, whenever Satoko was abused, she probably cried and hid her from her brother, but Satoko thinks that, in the end, that's why her brother ran away. Who did you hear that from? The coach, I bet. I nodded quietly. Satoko believes her brother will come back if she can withstand the abuse. Maybe that's why she's trying to push through. But that assumption has nothing to do with Satoshi coming back. It hurts to say that about Satoko, but it's the truth. Everyone hung their heads. Everyone was thinking the same thing. I'll have to go to sleep at some point before work. I want to record one more video, though. 2 more if I could. But sleep is important.